The information shared on LightBody Radio is for educational and informational purposes only. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed healthcare provider, or qualified wellness practitioner with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or health goal. Dr. Lara may, her guests, and affiliates do not claim to cure, prevent, or treat any condition and are not responsible for any actions taken based on the information shared in this podcast. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and that any actions you take based on the content are at your own discretion and risk. Thank you for tuning in to LightBody Radio.
Welcome to LightBody Radio, where science meets soul and healing gets multidimensional. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, functional medicine pharmacist, master intuitive Reiki channel, and certified life and health coach. Here we decode root causes, transmute stuck energy, and empower your full spectrum healing journey, body, mind, and light body. This isn't just wellness, it's awakening, grounded in science, guided by spirit, and designed for your evolution. Let's rise and radiate. Welcome to the next level of you. Hello and welcome to LightBody Radio. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, and today we have with us Janell Ray. She is the founder of the Energy Intelligence Method. She is an intuitive healer with 30 years of experience helping people understand and shift the deeper energetic imprints driving their emotions, patterns, and decision-making. Her work blends intuitive perception with identity-level healing, which I'm interested to hear more about what that is, to help individuals gain clarity, emotional freedom, and alignment with their authentic selves. Welcome.
Well, thank you. It's awesome to be here with you.
So tell us about your story and your journey and how you came to bring together, I'm sure, all your modalities to really hone in on this energy intelligence method.
So I, like so many of us, like when we're littles, my world was it just felt so easy. and what I mean by that is I was surrounded by nature. I had the privilege of growing up really in rural areas of Montana, Idaho, and Oregon. So a lot of wildlife. I was on ranches. So we had cattle and sheep and horses and cats and dogs. And, so my world was just this beautiful space that I felt at home. I was very empathic, and the animals and empathy work so beautifully together. Like, here's this beautiful space. I go into school and I'm hit with being condensed in classrooms with people all around me. Not that I wasn't socialized as a child. I had friends and we played, but it was outdoors. And so what I was beginning to feel was sensory overload. I could sense, feel, know everybody through what I had developed being with the animals. I could sense, feel, know animals, and that's a very safe and easy place for me to be. Get you in a classroom and it's just sensory overload and the lights. And then I'm being taught language, and language made no sense to me. And fast forward, I'm in Russia and I'm studying a foreign language with my roommate. We're working in the schools, and we had the project of a team of international individuals from around the world. We were working into building shelters for street kiddos and so on. But I'm studying the language, and I'm sitting there with my roommate, and she had her doctorate in English and second in special reading, reading disabilities. There we go. I can spit it out. And so she's like, okay, read that again. And so I read the passage that we're studying again. She goes, read that again. I said, what are you trying to do? You're torturing me, because it wasn't coming easy. This is my second year with the language, and it wasn't coming easy at all. And she goes, do you realize you read that differently every time you read it? And I said, no, I don't. I don't realize that. She goes, well, what was first grade like? What was that? And I said, oh my gosh, it was horrible. It was soul crushing and overwhelming. And so all these layers. And she goes, well, you're dyslexic. I think you're dyslexic. And that was just such an aha. Like, what do you mean? So then it began the journey of understanding, what in the world does that even mean? Accompanying that is, in that time, that formative time, I knew that there was something wrong with me. I'm like, I was fine, and now I'm not. And every way that I had learned to navigate is no longer working. So what's wrong with me? And so I started, we shut down what we don't understand, not because I made that decision, but my body is wired to survive. And I was not surviving. Whatever I did to navigate was causing me pain now, and it needed to shut down. So I literally shut down pieces of who I am and put it in a closet, locked the door, and then started to create what I now call exiles. Parts of me that were wounded by exposure to failure, in my case, exposure to trauma. I shut those little girls down and I said, don't talk anymore. You don't work. And so when my father passed away 20 years ago, for some reason that triggered a aha in me that I had shut these pieces down. Something about that allowed me to see, oh my gosh, I'm not operating in all that I am. With that, I'm a professional horse trainer at that time, and I'm working with horses that are outlaws. I'm attracting outlaws. And I move them in my arena, and they are biomechanically off. And I'm like, why are you're not moving right? These are really aggressive horses, and I'm their last stop for a lot of these guys. So I'm like, okay, I think you're in pain. Let's figure that out. In the journey of connecting and figuring out what was wrong, I found a vet that did Eastern medicine for animals, a horse chiropractor, and a body worker, which we would call an energy worker. So all of this is coming together as we are so divinely guided, and the horses started to activate me. So I'm getting an awareness that I've locked so much of myself down, and the horses are opening up pieces of me that I had shut down. So gifts. I could see where things were misaligned. I could feel where energy was stuck. All these along the lines of Reiki style healing and along the lines of intuitive medicine, where you can see, feel, know, and it's just intuitive. I didn't have a clue what all that meant. So I'd take it back to the 3 healers that I was taking the horses to, and I said, what in the world is going on with me? And they would talk me through it. That's nearly 30 years ago. And that was my introduction to, oh my gosh, there's so much more that we're not tapping into. And we shut this down for different reasons. And it's part of that identity development piece. One of the pieces, because we're just not that simple, but one of those pieces, sometimes we are that simple and sometimes we're not, but it's about understanding early childhood development. What goes on in that developmental part of our lives? And we are integrating, and I really got in tune with this when I then changed hats out of horse training into being a learning specialist. I changed gears and I worked with and studied, how do we think, how do we learn? And it's like we literally wire who we are during that developmental stage. And in that stage, we are also, it's not just neurological, it's also energy. Through experience, we get imprints. So we have energy imprints, and we have things that if it doesn't, depending on the stimuli and exposure to forms of trauma, we will exile parts of ourselves and put them away because it doesn't fit. And we're wired to survive. We're wired to survive. So in energy intelligence, what I've realized is I've taken these parts and I said, okay, how do we understand that? And how can that look in our life right now? And how do we interpret that? Because people are like me, we don't interpret the events in our lives correctly. We interpret them through a wiring that we developed during early childhood development. And that's not always going to give us what's really happening.
Interesting. Yeah. So I love also how you say it's not just about mindset alone. Like mindset can only take you so far, because there are these other pieces, both, I mean, emotional and energetic, but it's all energetic. Our feelings, our energy, our thoughts, our energy, what we say, how we, what we speak, all of those things are just different vibrations of energy. And so how do we sort of start to maybe unpack the nuances there?
Yeah, that's right. That's such a good question, because and if we go into it and mindset plays a role in our healing, right? That's definitely a piece. But if we go into it with mindset first, often what we're doing is we're kicking ourselves back into the same loop we're in. And where do we find the answer? Well, you don't, because it's a loop.
Because it's that lens. It's some sort of lens that we've created, whether it's a lens of our experience. And I'm sure it's probably a combination of, like you said earlier, a multitude of things. So it's our lens of our perception, but it could also be someone else's that maybe we've taken on, and maybe this is what you mean by imprints. So like things that aren't necessarily ours that we've taken in or taken on and decided to assign to ourselves, even though they might not be in alignment with who we are and who we want to be and where we want to go in life.
That's it, Dr. Laura. That's it, isn't it? We develop, and I see them and compare them to like a computer chip. Like, it's not a computer chip, but it's a set of energetic frequencies, and it's the experience. So we integrate life through experiences, which is taken in through our senses, what we see, what we smell, what we hear, what we feel. And then there's their counter co-workers, so to speak, of energetic senses. And all that gives us data, which is frequency, and it's set in an energy chip, and we take it on as an experience. So if they're positive experiences, that literally is in our energy body, in our physical body. And when we're in like stimuli, like experiences, it pushes that button, and I say, yes, I can do it. So in the world of horses, I was programmed to be, I just came out onto this planet going, I'm a horse trainer. Ask me as a 2-year-old, what are you going to do? I am, not what am I going to do? I am a horse trainer. And this, then just that lens, I was unstoppable. I just had this passion. So that frequency's in us. I had also frequencies that I came to the planet with. So some of these frequencies, some of these implants, so to speak, these imprints are developed as we develop, and different forms of trauma and how we perceive it. My trauma in school would be one, but a lot of these are echoes of genetic experiences. My genetic family has experienced, and an example of this is during the 100-Year War, my ancestors lived through that in France. And they were kicked out of the country, and then they were shipped to the Americas. So in my life, I experienced, and this is just a pattern, but it's purely an echo of an imprint of the energy I carried. And that frequency creates thought. Frequency creates thought. So I marry a family that is non-supportive of who I am as everything, an energy healer, outspoken, bold entrepreneur, and they're like, shut that down. That doesn't belong. Your voice doesn't count. It literally, now that I've healed through that, it did not make sense at the time, but literally, now that I'm healed through that, I see, oh my gosh, that's an echo of my family from France. And then I move into a space that totally accepted me. It was great. And then pressure's on, and I leave. And then I leave again. And I went, oh my gosh, I'm not uprooted because I need to be. I'm uprooted because I'm responding to an imprint that I have carried that's not even mine. And it's influencing my actions. It's influencing, I get stimuli that is similar to what I'm carrying, and I just react. I react, and it makes sense. And it can make me think, because we're intuitive, and the audience, you are intuitive. It's possible that you're saying, because this is what I said, guidance is moving me. No, it wasn't. I was listening to a frequency that had built a neural pathway in me, and therefore it felt right. It wasn't heavy. I need to move. I need to move. So it's in the healing of those frequencies, in the shifting of those frequencies, that then we get an aha. We don't see it in the moment or feel it in the moment. And you ask me, well, then how do we know that?
Right.
Because something inside of us, I know I really went the long way around that.
I know, it's fine. But yeah, no, that's, a lot of us of what we're taught, whether we're learning to practice for ourselves or for other clients as an energy practitioner, is the words that is, like the English or whatever language, but the words that we use to assign to the process is, like you said, oh, it's light, it feels good. But there is, like you just pointed out, a difference, that discernment of, again, like, what is guiding me? Is it fear guiding me? Or is it something I'm not even aware of? And how do I tell what is, let's say, like my higher self or source versus, because I think a lot of people will be like, oh, well, if it feels like icky or sticky or, any sort of negative emotion, then that obviously isn't source. But you were saying that there was an aspect that didn't feel like that. And so you still had to discern. So
absolutely.
How do we do that?
Yeah. And like the icky sticky, that's not so, and it's right. It isn't source, but it often, and it can be, that's actually my wiring trying to think it's protecting me. So that exile said, if you step out and use your voice, you will be shamed. And it'll come in and possibly, if this is the scenario, shut you down when you start, ooh, that's heavy. It's not time for me to use my voice. So let's get into that. So how do we know? What it is boils down to is learning that when I hit that, let's go with the icky sticky. If I hit the icky sticky, that's not source. Wisdom, absolutely, thank you. But we want to often try to solve the understanding within that thinking loop that we're in. We felt the icky sticky, and then we step back. Okay, now let's think, where do I go? But we stay at that level. Like if you just think of it as levels, we stay there and try to think it through and or feel it through. And one of the pieces that I've observed is that we need to take 2 or 3 steps back and away from it. And then go into a sequence of steps that drive us into who we are, or allow, because drive is force. There's zero force. That's the key. Be in a space of zero force, and zero, the brain it struggles. We need to love the brain. Thank you, brain. You've got a job, but please take the back seat. Even sometimes, thank you, heart. And this is a step we often miss. Thank you, heart. But please just put it on pause for a second, because we need to go even a step before the heart drives us. We think, oh, the heart's my passion and it drives us. Yes, but even it can be misled by what we're holding on to, because fear will run through that space at times. So we got to go even further back and do the process of connecting to who we are at the most authentic us. There's a thread that connects to our highest self. And I had I was the beautiful, the horses have gifted me. I am so blessed, literally, by my walk with horses. I had a mare, and she was with me for 20 years, and she passed away last fall. It was just her time. Thank you very much. And as she was getting ready to go, and she let me know it's time. And I'm just, of course, just a mess, because she's been with me for 20 years. Her and I were really close. I said, Blue, what can you teach me? I feel like you're here. You've been teaching me my whole life and my journey with you in the last 20 years. So there's something I need to know, and there's something I'm ready to hear from you. So in the process of her going, her day came, and the vet came, and that all happened. And I'm in my office, and I'm processing grief. And my partner in crime, Brian, he's my significant other, and he works with me in energy. I said, can I talk to Blue yet? And he said, no, she's in transition. Don't touch her. And then the next morning, can I touch Blue? Yeah, you can touch Blue. So I touched Blue's energy. She's in this space. She showed me where our energy lives, where that center core of us exists that knows why we're here. It's the purest form of us. And I knew it existed, but I got through her. I got to see it and feel it. She was no longer hoarse. She was light in its purest form. And it totally understood everything that was and everything that will be. She's in no time. She's with source energy. And she let me touch that. And she said, this is who we are, and where we get that authentic frequency. We have our genetic frequency that's here because we're here on the planet to gather experiences. Every time we come, however people want to see that and know that, we come and we have experiences, and those come with us. And then we get called to clear those, to keep the experience, all the gold of being shamed, of being hurt, of being successful. I mean, all the gamut, the whole gamut of experiences. But shift the guilt, shame, fear. So we often think, well, I need to conquer the fear. I need to push past, or rewrite the shame. What we're being asked to do is to shift the shame out of the experience, to shift the guilt out of the experience. So when you feel the heavy icky, we take those steps back with the intention to connect to that purest form. And it isn't going to come through your head, and it isn't going to be something directly from your heart. It's got to be a few steps deeper, and it's through intention. And I was doing a lecture. It was so fun. So they're like, oh, my brain's screaming, how do I do it? Because our brain is like, I don't know how. It's like, well, if a big semi-truck's coming down the road and you're standing in the middle of the road, you don't sit there wondering how you're going to do it. You just get out of the way. And it's that simple, because it's that type of surrender.
I was going to say, it sounds like a total form of surrender.
Yes, it's a surrender. Yeah. And that's what we're being called to do, is surrender to the need to know, the surrender to what drives a lot of our, I need to follow guidance, is the drive to be right. Something happened in that timeline that's driving me to know, which means I'm afraid not to be right.
Well, and I think too, because we're taught from a very early age that being wrong has consequences, whether it's in school or, like even like in a family dynamic, if you're wrong, then there becomes a punishment of some way, or like even we're taught that in various religious traditions, don't be wrong because that really can be, in some situations, a life or death still. And like you said, our brain is wired to survive. And so for a lot of people, wrong equals not surviving.
Yeah, exactly. So we can shift the perspective of it's in support of my survival right now. Or is it not? Like, is it right or wrong? Right or wrong means, is it in support of my survival right now? And as healers, as intuitives, what we're being called to do is to take a look at what used to be labeled as wrong or shameful and go to its beginning and shift whatever, because whoever started it, whether it was grandma, great grandpa, great, who knows how long ago, they did their survival. But an element of that experience got stored in that DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And it echoes in our now. And it's like, why does this not make sense? Why am I struggling to shift past that? That's the piece when I'm walking with people. It's like, let's start there. What is like, what the things that say I'm here again? Or if I hear the word should or need to.
Mm-hmm.
And if I feel the energy of force, I'm pushing against this, that's where we go and dig. That's where we go and take a look. That's your body, your energy, all that loves you and guides you is saying, I want you to see here. I want you to look here. And areas of pain. It can be emotional pain. It can be surroundings. It can be illness. It can be people attacking me verbally. I experienced severe verbal abuse, and I felt very much, attacked. What guidance was doing was saying, I want you to look. Where do you feel that pain in your body? What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
That's the gift in it. What's happening? And yes, I removed myself from the abusive place. And then I began the healing, which meant, where is it? Where am I feeling it? And when I started understanding that actually that's my friend, not justifying their actions, that's their work on this planet, that's their job, their personal work, but it's also talking to me. And if I can, it's showing me where to work. And sometimes it's healing just physically in me. Sometimes it's understanding how and what's echoing. So I'm healing for my generations. But energy intelligence is asking us to be open to a new way of translating things, a new way of understanding things, and understanding that all of it's here for my best self, for my highest and best self. Where's guidance really taking me? And as we do that work, I'm connecting to the energy gifts that I am. I'm connecting to all the beautiful experiences that my genetic history has and my energy history has. We get to, that's what it's really about.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of talk these days around triggers.
Oh, yeah.
So what advice do you have for people when they are feeling triggered in some way, shape, or form? And whether it's a big one or a little one. I mean, I like so far that you've said that's sort of our cue to start asking the questions. And I agree, like, for sure, awareness is always the first step to any change. And if we could start seeing our triggers as opportunities for awareness and to start asking ourselves questions instead of, because I do think there is, with even the concept of a trigger, there's this aspect of, I hate to use the word victim, but like it's being done to me, like you're triggering me.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, and a lot of the dialogue that's happening around this word these days.
Yeah.
And so, but what I love to do, and I think this is the key to all of our healing, is really taking that, spiritual and emotional responsibility and saying, okay, well, this might have quote unquote triggered me, but what, like you said, like what's happening in my body? What am I meant to learn from it? What do I need to know right now from it? Like what's coming up specifically that maybe I can learn from or shift? How do you help work through that with people?
Yeah, we take a look at, because understanding what is a trigger. A trigger is a collection of experiences, and you could see it as an electric ball. And then when I'm exposed to a like frequency, so if I've been shamed a lot in my growing up years, I will have this ball of electricity in the frequency of shame. And so when someone has that frequency in their voice, it pushes that button and that whole electrical ball blows up in my body. And there's the trigger, there's the overwhelm, there's the experience. So since that's what caused it, is the experience. The gift is the person that had the frequency, and it was probably, and maybe they meant to shame me, maybe they didn't. Doesn't matter.
It could be completely, like
be completely innocent.
Unintentional. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the gift is they showed me what's ready to be seen. Mm-hmm. If I get hit with a trigger, that's guidance's gift to me to say, oh, that wants healed. That whatever I felt, be a witness to it. Yeah, I felt victimized. I felt exactly. Good job. That's what needs to happen. So step one is see it as it's not your enemy. Step two, if you can recognize that, then we're now, instead of head to head and trying to fix it, that just shoves it back down a lot of times. Once it's out in the open and you can go, oh, beautiful, thank you. And yeah, it's harsh. It's not like this is a pretty moment, because those emotions are strong, but it is the gift. Be a witness to it. And the healing in it, let me check with guidance. Where does guidance want us to take that? Because now we can go back into early childhood and we can walk through a modality outside of self and rewire that experience without the trigger. Mm-hmm. Then we have a tool that resets us in the now, orientates all of our energy body and all of our physical body, and grounds the new reality into the now. When we do that, the trigger's just gone. Why? Because we didn't deal with the symptom. The symptom is the trigger explosion. If we deal with that only, the problem ceases it still exists. It's like I can go out into my garden and cut the dandelion flowers off all day, but in another day or two, I'm going to have a whole new set of flowers. I got to get down to where did it really start? Okay, if we go there, the problem ceases to exist. So we go back. When you said identity is formed in 0 to 8 years old, right? We can go back and recreate through modalities outside of ourselves those experiences, and then ground the reality, and that diffuses what happened. It's not like I recreate the trauma. That would be anti-productive. Right. But I can recreate what was forming at that time. We get all of our thinking skills, what cause and effect sequences, my relationship to time, my relationship to self, and 42 other concepts during that developmental time. So if I recreate the idea that's developing at that time and then ground it into my now, it's just the trigger's gone.
Beautiful. Yeah. Sounds great. And I'm sure everyone's a little different, but can this be like instantaneous? I mean, obviously like you're working through the process, but like fairly fast? Or do you still find that people sort of get wrapped up in like maybe still working through some cycles, even does it depend on, like, I guess, quote unquote, like how deeply it's buried, so to speak, or ingrained?
There's layers, isn't there, to a lot of these things. There's just so many scenarios. But a general principle is, when we get the original root, that is gone. Is there layers to these roots at times? Definitely. So depending on what guidance is wanting an individual to see and understand about themselves, and their personal mindset. So this is where mindset will come in. So we've done the energy work. We've done the rewrite of that childhood development piece of that identity. We've rewritten that. Now we are and we do have patterns. So we have the opportunity to catch, oh my gosh, I'm going down that road. That's really not me anymore. And the thing that's different is before the energy's changed, you'll just be there before you know it. When the energy changes, you actually have a pause so you can grab that and go, yeah, that's not me. This is me. I know that this is me now. The other player is if we never ask ourselves to grow beyond a level, then usually that area is fine. But many of us like to grow even more, and we're just like, no, I'm on fire. I want to really get deeper and know myself even more and do this purpose work. So many of us are driven that way. So as we go higher, we get to go deeper. So in this work around the trauma that my ancestors experienced, I realize it's my pattern. I have 2 or 3 things that when I'm really driving myself to grow and I blast through whatever ceiling I'm blasting through, I'm going to be triggered. And I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize you. That just means I get to drive deeper into that space, understand more, understand more about myself. And my belief is that's really my gift in it, because in that depth is more gold. More things that I get to bring forward, more wisdom, more knowledge, more understanding, more gifts with me into the new level I'm going. So that pattern, I have decided, is really a gift for those of us that grow. So in the past, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm triggered again. I thought I dealt with that. Or your guidance is saying, yeah, you're going to need what's down there. Let's go down there, do the work, and bring what needs to come forward. So it really shifts the perspective and the energy in the way we see triggers and the way we navigate these cycles and patterns we see in our life and body.
Yeah. And instead of judging ourselves for not getting it or not getting better, or why is this happening again? Just be like, okay, I have more to learn, and that's good.
Yeah, this is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
And you learn how to work with yourself. You get good at going, oh my gosh, I'm triggered. All right, down we go. Connect to guidance, get in your core. Here we go. Yeah. Let's do the work. And working with somebody, and I'm sure, Dr. Lara, you've seen this too, a second set of eyes is so important. People that are working with you are coming to you because you have a second set of eyes. You've got wisdom. You've got all this, the skills that you've put together that support people. So when they come to you, it's like we get stuck in our own space. And how do you see the forest through the trees? Well, you can't sometimes. You need that second set of eyes, and you go, okay, look at me, help me, hear me. And you'll pick out, okay, that's where the energy is. When you use that word, it could be, light bulb, but the energy in that word, let's follow that energy, That's what we need a lot of times. I know I've needed it in my journey. I've needed that second set of eyes and skill. That's not me. I'm too close to it.
Yeah, for sure. And, as we also shift things, then it also moves around our body too. Like maybe on this level, you stored it in your throat, but once you clear that, then, now you're noticing it down here in your abdomen or whatever, yes, or your lower back, and so that's also, again, like messages to show you, okay, you've stored this here, whether you meant to or not, but this is your opportunity to bring awareness and intention and clear it.
Yeah. And there's a gift behind it. When our body moves it around, there is a gift, literal physical energy gift, like an energy ability that we're being asked to understand. I ask guidance about, why is it all over the place? And they're like, because we're guiding you, it's like, let's connect the dots. When you're ready and you clear it from your gut, that was one of my main places, clear it from your tummy. And they're like, yes, now there's an energy knowing that you get to tap into. Okay, now it's in your throat. You just told, when you said throat, I went, oh my gosh, she's reading my body. I went, because now I'm studying. Once I study one thing and it makes sense to me and I'm kind of like, okay, then that maybe the same trigger, the same energy is showing, or a related energy is showing up in my throat. Now, that which you had in your gut, now think about where and how it, open yourself up to understanding the throat. Now it's in your shoulder, or now it's in your knee. It doesn't matter. Understand that everything's so intentional. We think, oh, it's so random. It's like, well, actually, I don't feel like any of it's random. The more I get into it, I'm just scratching the surface. The more I know, the more I realize I don't know. But what I'm getting is that it's connect the dot, connect one understanding to the other, and then let guidance bring the knowledge up into your brain.
Right. So fascinating. Well, let's merge and talk about your programs.
Okay.
And yeah, so let's move in that direction. So tell us.
Yeah. So the Energy Intelligence Program, so the Gold Inside of You is what I've called it, is a program where individuals come with the goal. What are goals? We have a intake and we go, okay, really talk to me, share with me where you feel stuck. Where do you feel, or maybe it's just, I have this burning, I am passionate about connecting to who I authentically am. I'm really tired of not being there, and I'm on this journey. That's been one of my pieces. I want to get as authentic as possible and live in that space. So we come in with the goal or a set of goals, and the program then is built to support that goal or set of goals. And we put in the pieces. So it's energy healing. Let's get into those imprints and let's start shifting so that the thinker gets clarity. When the imprint shifts, the thinking gets clear. Now let's rewrite the childhood development piece. Now let's get into the my identity, and let's set you back to your original frequency. Let's start that process of removing, and that is that next level trigger removal phase. Then who are you now? Let's walk that together. Let's translate that, because you have all the questions. Why is it in my body here? Why? Oh my gosh, now I'm doing this. Now I walk into a room and everybody stares at me. What's going on? I'm feeling this. I'm doing it. So now let's translate. Let's translate together what's going on. And it's super important to keep the power in the individual's hands. So it's like, I'm a facilitator of this. You're the master. It's got to resonate. I'm just here to debrief and help translate this. Mm-hmm. And there's the gift activation. My energy just activates people. So different gifts that guides are ready for you to have get activated. So that's the journey work in and connected to the goal that individuals come with.
Beautiful. And so your website is janellray.com, and that's / the gold inside you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to leave with our audience today before we wrap up?
It was such an honor to be here. Such an honor to bring and have this discussion with you, Dr. Lara, to be a part of your day. Everyone who joined us here, thank you. If you have any questions, reach out. My email's at janell@janellray.com. Love to meet you. And I'm just, for the collective, holding so much love for each of you as we grow.
You. Yes. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And are you on the socials?
I am. Yeah. Facebook. You can find me Facebook and LinkedIn, Instagram.
Okay. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And definitely check out The Gold Inside You, everybody, because it does sound like it is very beautiful and golden and just a wealth and a fount of information and healing. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining me on LightBody Radio, where functional medicine meets intuitive healing and transformation happens on every level. If this episode resonated with you, please like, share, and if you're ready to go deeper, visit drlaramay.com to book a functional medicine consultation or an intuitive healing session. Whether you need to rebalance your body, clear your energetic blocks, or reconnect with your soul's purpose, I've got you. You can also follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Dr. Lara May for daily inspiration, energy updates, and healing tools. Remember, Your healing is multidimensional, and so are you. Until next time, honor your body, trust your intuition, and activate your light.